Okay. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we kept working on the Harwick map for the Dress Up quest. And we were able to add each of the crate locations, and we were able to support clicking on a crate on the map to make it disappear, as if you had just picked up the wrong thing. So today we're going to keep going. We want to automatically detect the clothing effects and tell whether the player has matched something or not, and if it does match, we want to remove all the crates of that type, and if it not, well, we don't know where we are necessarily, but we can tell the player to click on the thing to get rid of it. As always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions. And in the meantime, let's go ahead and share my desktop. I see Pamela in chat. Hello, Pamela, Ella. Here we are in Hytbold. For those of you who don't know, this rock is very climbable. You go around in spirals to get on up here, and it makes for some pretty cool shots of Hytbold. But we don't want to be up here. We want to be down here. If you don't already have it, you need to pick up the quest Aiding the Eastemnet from Rinwald in order to be able to pick up any of the other Hytbold quests. Now, I think I may already have it from last week, but let's travel on over to Harwick, where the Dress Up quest takes place. We have a long ride out. I'm going to go ahead and load up the Hytbold Assistant plugin and open the quest window where we have Dress Up. So if you're not familiar with the process of rebuilding Hytbold, once you hit level 84, you'll receive a mail inviting you to come to Hytbold, a ruined, burned out shell of a city, sitting kind of in between the Norcrofts, the Sutcrofts, and the Wold, and a little ways away from the Entwash Vale. And it's meant to be kind of a collaborative headquarter of the four reputation factions. Once you get there, you'll be able to pick up Aiding the Eastemnet, and that will allow you to pick up a variety of quests at each of the four kind of capital locations. Harwick for the Wold, Cliving for the Norcrofts, Snowburn for the Sutcrofts, and Aylworth in the Entwash Vale. There's going to be 3 quest givers next to the Mead Hall and the location of your choice. One of them will have pairs of quests that take place in a public dungeon. Anyone can be going in there, so you can have a little bit of a issue getting the mobs or the whatever you need because other people are also taking them down. But it's fun to be able to see other people also progressing on this as well. One of them will just have a landscape, a public questing area. That's what they call it, instance public questing area. One of them will just be for defeating a certain number of mounted enemies. Probably between 6 and 16. I can't remember the exact numbers for each one of them. In this case, the 4 Eastern Plains of the Wold, 10 for the Wold. And then one of them will have the sort of quirky one-off quests that are a little bit different for each location. For Snowburn, there's, I think, 4 fishing quests. In Cliving, they're more Warmount related. In Aylworth, they're servicing the town. One of them's climbing up the beacon tower. One of them's walking along a tightrope. And here we are in Harwick. We're here in Bandits, which is essentially a Rohirrim game of tag with the children. We also have the Dress Up quest that we already have, and the Hobby Horse quest, which is racing around town on an extremely slow hobby horse. Racing. So, Dress Up. What's the goal of it? The goal of it is to go to the Dress Up model, determine what it is wearing, and find the matching outfits around town. There's 18 boxes, 3 for each of the 6 pieces of equipment. Helm, shoulders, chest, gloves, leggings, and boots. Crate. There are crates. A crate that contains a helm piece will always contain a helm piece, but which of the 3 outfits it might contain changes. It randomizes in some way, possibly at the same time that the dress-up model also changes. So the best solution I have to finding this is just go through town and go through the helm ones until you find the right helm, go through the shoulder ones until you find the right shoulder one. But what we want to do is optimize it so we just make a loop through town and go to each crate that we need to, but once we find the right one for that type, those dots are removed from the map to speed this up. Once you have the right pieces, and you don't have to do them all at once, though that is the fastest way to do it, you come stand in front of the dress-up model and you'll get credit for each of the 6 possible pieces that you are wearing correctly. Once you have worn all 6 in front of the dress-up model, you'll be able to turn it in to Garbrand here, and you'll be done for the day. Neat. What do you get for all of this? Well, specifically, the 10 tokens of Hytbold are crucial, but you also get some War Steed experience, Legendary Item experience, and Reputation 1200 with the Men of the Wold faction. Fantastic. So what we have here is sort of the prototype window. That's why all these different colors are here, so we can see where things are and how they're laid out. And we also have the map. Now what we saw last time is we're able to go ahead and click these crates to get rid of them. We don't currently have a way to get them back, but that's okay. We also can simply unload and reload the plugin. So unload, reload, great. That gets the dots back. We'll sort out how to get them back. It will probably involve paying attention to picking up the quest. If you've just picked up the quest, we should wipe that. Maybe there could be a reset button somewhere. We'll sort that out later. So let's start by checking out our source control. We're using git from git.dev, which is wrapping, fork from fork.dev, which is wrapping around a git repository. Price Master says, hello, what are some add-ons you think are absolutely necessary? What a great question. Oh, we can see that we have a clean working directory. Awesome. What are some plugins that I think are absolutely necessary? To answer that question, I'm actually going to put my normal plugins back for a moment. I have them moved out of the way to kind of simplify the stream here. But let's go ahead and refresh. So if you are a person who plays with more than, say, 1 or 2 different characters, then I recommend some variation on alt inventory. There's a couple out there. I think Kiki inventory, alt inventory, maybe 1 or 2 others. If anyone has their favorite, chime it into chat. But alt inventory, incredibly useful. What is alt inventory? Well, it lets you, well, it would if I had not gotten rid of all my plugin files for the stream. It will let you see what is in the inventory and storage for each of your alts. It'll also let you see what's in shared storage, and then you can search for things. So if I'm trying to figure out, let's go ahead and give it something to search with. Great. So if I'm, whoa, I've hit my minimize all button. That was unintentional. So if I'm trying to find carryall, let's go ahead and search all. Oh, cool. I have a bunch of them in shared storage. Awesome. If I'm trying to find some Edelharn tokens, okay, I've got 50 in shared storage and 7 on my character Arda. Awesome. Oh, hey. Not a recipe. Oh, I already know it. Or if I'm trying to find where are all my stroll cases. Okay, cool. All my apprentice weaponsmith, they're in my vault. Awesome. But it does this regardless of which character you're logged into. So if you have a bunch of different characters, it can be really helpful to be like, aha, the Rittermark Cook's scroll cases, they're currently in shared storage. Okay, cool. Just take that mental load off of finding the things. Limitation of alt inventory, it does not know what you're currently wearing. So if you're looking for a toolkit, that can be a little bit harder, where my toolkit won't show up in alt inventory. Toolkit. It will, however, see the universal, fateful, and enduring ones that are in shared storage. Awesome. Agatha says, I would set the bar high for absolutely necessary. The only ones, in their opinion, are timer plugins for certain raids or high-tier instances, but only one person in the group needs it, and then they can call out to the others. Well, it definitely depends on what your goal is. Again, the things I'm going to list here for the next, X minutes are not ones that you have to have in order to play, but are ones that are incredibly useful for offloading the mental load of keeping track of all the moving parts of an MMO as wide and broad as Lord of the Rings Online. So Absolutely. If you don't play with alt, or if you just don't have a problem finding stuff, don't worry about alt inventory. But for me, it's very useful. Let's see. I would say if you care about knowing that you have all of your food, all of your scrolls, your hope tokens, that kind of thing on, I find Buff Monitor is the best thing that works with my brain for making sure I have those things. So I can at a glance just see, okay, I'm buffed up enough that I can do the next boss fight, or I'm lacking something. Oh, my fortifying food is worn off. I have a very personally difficult time keeping track of which foods I have and how long they're going to last for without a plugin to help that for me. Like, yes, you can hover over the icons below your character and sort it out, but for me, it never works. And so Buff Monitor is the best thing that works with my brain for that. But again, is it mandatory? No, but I find it very helpful. I have been in numerous raids with people who don't seem to be running with something like Buff Monitor, and so there's a lot of that. Oh, do we have hope? Do we have scrolls? Do we have these group buffs? And it's like, well, my group does because I've got hope and I've got scrolls. Therefore, definitionally, we're good. Especially after a wipe, everyone recollects and like boom, 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 and it's up. And having that little heads-up display. Now, it's for your fellowship for those things, so that someone does a hope token in the other group, it's not going to count. But yeah, Buff Monitor, very, very useful. As Arthur was saying, is it absolutely necessary? No, but it's absolutely necessary for me to be able to keep my food buffs up. So I'll put a little asterisk there. All right. The deed tracker plugin, again, this is a situational one. If you are a completionist type person who fundamental to your gameplay is like ticking off all of those possible deeds in a region, I really want to do Explorer of Breland and Slayer of Breland and Quests of Breland, then I'd recommend the deed tracker plugin. Again, not absolutely necessary, but absolutely necessary if you want to offload all the mental effort of what deeds have I not done that would be easy to knock off. And it's also very useful for letting you know about possibly hidden deeds that will not show up in your in-game deed log even once you've started them. Or even just those deeds, no deeds will show up until you start them. Some of them will never show up in your deed log. And so it will at least tell you that they exist and some basic information about them. Festival Buddy, I wouldn't say is absolutely necessary, but if you're doing a lot of festivals and you have questions about some of the quests, I'm trying to add in even more information, but it's a very situationally useful plugin. I keep it offloaded most of the year, and every once in a while it's just like, okay, load it for all my characters for the next week. If you're doing chicken runs, if you're doing chicken session play, then I highly recommend Foul Map. If you're not, I would not recommend it. But it's just shy of absolutely necessary for me if you're doing chicken session play. It's great. And it is basically a spin-off of RT plugin, which is for roving threats. And again, if you're not doing roving threats, don't worry about it. But if you are doing roving threats, it's fantastic. I love it. Roving threats are around level 100 landscape raid bosses, and they have roughly 9 possible places they can spawn in the zones where they are spawning, but during server reset to server reset, like 3 a.m. to 3 a.m., they stay in a specific location. So once you've found them for the day, you can just keep on coming back and farming them, which is useful because there are some deeds and there are some tokens that you can get. So it's helpful to know where they are, and RT Plugins is great for that and otherwise useless. So again, lots of situationally useful. I find mini raid is very, very, very helpful as a healer. I find the built-in UI for tracking all the people in your raid. One fellowship, it's kind of manageable. You're just looking in one place. But if you have 2 to 4 fellowships worth of players, highly recommend mini raid to present a nice, small, consolidated location where everyone's morale bars are easily visible. It just really changes the healing game. There might be some other type things like mini raid out there, but I found mini raid and was like, I'm done. I have found the thing that I need in order to be able to at least stand a chance of healing a raid. Minstrel buff. If you play a minstrel, I highly recommend checking out minstrel buff too. If you don't, I wouldn't. If you have visibility issues, if you have any eyesight issues that cause it to be difficult for you to read the quest tracker while it's in not a contrasting background, then I would recommend something like the opaque quest tracker. It just slaps an opaque box behind there. You can control how opaque it is and what color it is. It's an accessibility thing. So if your eyesight is poor and you're having issues, or poorer, I should say, and you're having issues reading the text here in the quest tracker, I've heard it's very useful. If you're not, then don't worry about it. I find prime bags incredibly useful for streamlining how I deal with inventory at the end of a session. You have to do a lot of customization to, or at least I do, in order to make it work for me. But it takes an end-of-day wrap-up where I'm kind of tossing all of the stuff I've gathered into shared storage to disperse to the various characters. It takes it from a mentally tasking, I don't know, 5-minute thing to a don't even think about it 1-minute thing. And since I do that at the end of every session or multiple times during a session, it's again, takes a lot of that mental load off and just says, nope, the plugin can keep track of it. Feel free to ask me more if you care about bags. Reminders is incredibly useful. There's a lot of things in game that you can only do every so often. Quests or crafting or minstrels can teach people how to play instruments, but only every so often. And reminders is an in-game integrated way to automatically create a lot of these reminders. Like, hey, you just opened a chest in Karn Doom. Would you like a reminder, for when you can do this again? When will this raid lock expire? All the way to just making your own manual reminders to, hey, I want to go do a chicken session play with this cool person I met next week, and here's the date and time. And it's done. It's in-game. It's integrated very nicely. If you're the type of person who would like those kinds of regular reminders to, hey, you could go make a guild emblem to increase your reputation with the crafting guild, the weaponsmith guild. If that is useful to you, reminders is great. If not, don't. If you like the treasure event, Rich is almost mandatory for doing it effectively. But outside the buried treasure event, it's never on. Titan bar. Titan bar is incredibly useful for presenting specific information usually at the top of your screen, and just it's incredibly useful. My eyes are just ready to go to see exactly how many spaces I have left in my bag. It's just a little really quick thing. Okay, I've got plenty of space. Don't need to worry about it. What time is it? Server time and local time. It integrates those things nicely. Titan bar is great, but there's a lot of configuration to make it really work for what you're looking for. So it's not just a load it up and you're done. It's load it up and you start. Travel window 2. If you as you play through the game, you're likely to get a lot of travel skills. It's kind of optional. A lot of them are reputation based. But especially if you're a hunter or a warden or anyone who gets a lot of travel skills just by being a part of their class, I highly recommend the travel window 2. That will put a little suitcase on your screen. When you click it, you will get all of your travel skills in one location, but you can also configure it so if I wanted that to just be a textual list, I don't even have to remember what the icons are. I can just find the thing. So it's incredibly useful to have it in one place and not taking up spaces on your skill bar or anything. That being said, when I don't have it loaded, if I'm only doing things once in a while, I'll just come into my skills and search for Oscuruth, and I'll use that travel skill. So I'm just going one place. It's fine. I can do it either way. But if I'm dipping around a bunch in a session play, especially during festivals or say the in-league Ale Association runs or something like that, then travel window almost becomes a necessity at that point. It just puts all of your travel skills at your fingertips. It's delightful. And waypoint. If you are trying to find a thing in the game, then waypoint is almost necessary. or I should say, if you have coordinates and you're trying to navigate to them smoothly, then I think it's delightful. So if I was trying to find the Harwick stables here, which are at 38.5 south and 52.7 west, then let's pretend it's harder to find than it actually is. I would type /way space target space, and I would put those in. Oh, it didn't like that. I spelled target wrong. /way space target space, then yeah, 38.5 south, 52.7 west. Then I get a little arrow on screen. If I do /LOC, or if I click this thing, it's going to give me a heading, and it's going to tell me about how far away it is. We can see it's about 273 meters away. So I've bound /LOC to tilting my mouse wheel to the right, so I can just constantly update this thing, and I can say, okay, 200 meters away, 186 meters away, 150, cool, we're almost there, and I can just use this heading and this distance to narrow in on something. Super great for exploration deeds, super great for, okay, the wiki tells me there's a specific location for this stealthed mob that I need to kill, and I don't have a hunter to tell me where it is. So, again, it's situational. Some people will play and never need it or never want it, but if you have some coordinates and you want to go from where you are to where it is, incredibly much easier than being like, okay, well, it's roughly southeast, and I guess I'll navigate when I get there. You can do it either way, of course. Cool. Those are, I guess, of the ones that I have installed, those are the ones I think are like absolutely necessary for the way that I play the game. Of course, there's a couple other ones that are absolutely necessary if you're going to do other things. If you are a player of music, of in-game LOTRO music, you're probably going to find something like Lyrical and something like Songbook absolutely necessary. You can get by without them, but your life's going to be a lot easier if you use those to further your musical ambitions. Cool. Thanks for the distraction. I hope that is a helpful list with the added context anyway. But yeah, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and unload all of those and move everything that I'm not working with back out of here. Prize Master says, thanks a lot, that was helpful. You're very welcome. Little Redhead has put the plugins command into the Twitch stream there, which says, reminds us that you can use the LOTRO Plugin Compendium to download new plugins. Most plugins that people that are commonly used are available in the list here, but not all of them. So if you're looking and you don't see it here, just go to the LOTRO interface website and download it more manually. But if I wanted to go ahead and add Mini Raid, I can just click it, I click the add button, and within a few seconds, it's already done. So big thanks to Lunar Water for putting together the LOTRO Plugin Compendium program. And yes, that chat command also has some recommendations. Buff bars, Deep Tracker, Kiki Inventory, Minstrel Buff 2, a Pit Quest Tracker, Titan Bar, Travel 1 to 2, and Sequence Bars. Not to mention Combat Analysis, Daily Tasks, and more map. But really, as I would agree with Egg Arthur, for every plugin, there's going to be things that it can do, but that you'll just have to kind of discover if you need a plugin to do those things that it will do. Plugins are all about kind of offloading mental effort into a little program that'll do it for you. But different people are getting different things out of playing a game like Lord of the Rings Online. So for me, a plugin that offloads the what anthems and ballads do I have up as a minstrel Buff 2, that's very useful for me, but for someone else, managing that might be the whole reason why they have an enjoyable time playing minstrel. So moving that into a plugin might kind of defeat the purpose, because then they would be like, oh, this is really boring now. And so just because a plugin is really useful for a thing doesn't mean it's really useful for you, because the thing that it offloads might be the thing that you enjoy about that task. So there's going to be some people who think that this Hytbold Assistant is just the worst thing ever because they really like the challenge of running around and finding, figuring out if they're wearing the right thing and finding the crates that correspond to it and all of that. Like, that would be that's their whole enjoyment out of this quest. Offloading that all onto a plugin is just going to be like the worst thing possible for them. So Yeah, just because a plugin does something really well or at all doesn't mean it's good for a specific player. So these recommendations always come with a little asterisk that says these are really good for the way I play, and they might be useful for the way you want to play. And so that's why I try to always bring a little bit of context for why I use a specific plugin. And not just, oh, this plugin is great. This plugin is great for me because X. And so if it doesn't jive with you, it doesn't. Awesome. So what do we have? We have a way to track what is the current dress-up model wearing. Boy, that is just at human height, not at hobbit height. Okay, I'm getting onto my goat. So we can see that's the helm of the winter. That's the shoulders of the balladeer. That's the chest piece of the balladeer. Those are the gloves of winter. Those are the leggings of winter, and those are the boots of the balladeer. Awesome. So by sort of locking in what's here, the plugin doesn't know how to do this yet, but the plugin is going to be able to tell whether we picked up the right thing. So let's take a look at this. We want to be able to determine when we have picked something up. Oh, you know what? It's going to make my life a lot easier if we go around and we pick up the precise coordinates of each of these crates. Haven't done that yet, and I think it's going to be easy if we kind of just do them on screen here so we can see how to do this. So the coordinate system in Lord of the Rings Online is as precise as we could want it to be as far as a plugin is concerned, but the UI rounds things to the nearest tenth of a degree. So we're at 39.7. I'm going to remove that. 39.7 south, 53.1 west. But the problem is when you are talking about a matter of a few steps, like if that were pointing us to right here, especially if we don't have floating names on, or if it's just not going to show us because it's behind a tent. If it directs us to here, that's less fun than if we're like, oh, okay, it's right here. And so a tenth of a degree isn't precise enough to get, down to a couple of footsteps away. It's precise enough to be in this general area. But I want to go ahead and have a little bit more precision so that these dots are like as good as we can get. And for that, we want two things. We want the precise coords. We're going to go ahead and add that. Awesome, installation complete. And then we're going to go ahead and edit precise coords to be even more precise. Now, what does precise coords do? If it is loaded, then anytime you do a /LOC, it's going to spit out even more precise coordinates. How does that work? Let's take a look. I'm doing a /LOC. Got to scroll on down. And we can see precise coordinates from that. We're not just at, whoops, I've moved, sorry. We're not just at 39.7 south, we're at 39.72, so just a little bit more south than the game would tell us. We're not at 53.1 west, we're at 53.09 west, just slightly farther east than the game would tell us. And if we take a step, we can see these values didn't change. I take another step, take another step, take another step, take another step. Okay, finally something changed. And so two digits of precision, pretty precise. But the plugin is choosing to do that. So let's go ahead and open up a Explorer window and go to Documents, Lord of the Rings Online, Plugins. That's going to be Thurlor, and it's just precisecoords.lua. It's super simple. And the thing we want to change is the rounding to 2 decimal digits. Now, having done this last week, we can remember that the local coords here is using the string dot format and using the %.2. We're just going to bump that to 4. It's overkill. It's so much more precision than we want. It's probably more precision than is actually really there. We're probably only dealing with like 3 digits of precision. But whatever. No one's the boss of us. We can do what we want. So, precise coords, we can see now that we are getting super precise looking coordinates. I'll say precise looking. I don't know if they are precise, but it looks precise. So if I'm just standing on the middle of this box, we can see very specifically 39.7111 south, 53.0810 west. If I walk to the corner of this box and do it again, we can see we went from 7111 to 7133 and 0810 to 0833. So we're getting measurable differences. And if we go back to the center, we should have something that's much more closer to what we started with. But importantly, not exactly there. We're just slightly stepping off, and we're able to see that difference. Awesome. So that's what a super precise chords is going to do for us. So really, we just need to go around and stand on each of these chests and get that updated value into the Hytbold Assistant. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to type /Hytbold. Awesome. Somehow I closed this window the opposite of what I want to do. All right, so we are standing on top of this chest here. Let's go ahead and pull up the code, and we can see, based off of the coordinates where we are, 39.7, and 53.1, we are at shoulder 1. Awesome. So here's where we'll just go ahead and grab the better versions of that 111 and 0.0812. Awesome. Now, if we were to unload and reload this, it will be almost indistinguishable from where it was, and that's fine. But we're just going to go ahead and zip around and do that for all 18 of these really fast. And so normally you wouldn't need anywhere near this level of precision, but if you're talking about something in a town map specifically, we can see we have the Harwick map. Whenever you have a regional map only, the level of precision is super ungranular. If I move my mouse cursor a pixel, we go a whole tenth of a degree. But we can see in Harwick, if I do the same thing, if I move my mouse, I have to move it a number of pixels for a tenth of a degree. And so that's where the hundredths of degrees really come in. The thousandths of the degree is just being silly. But I only really want to gather this information once, so why not be as precise as I can while I'm doing it? Okay, so same basic idea. We're going to come in and say this is, oh, we should probably annotate somehow that it has been done. So I'm just going to put a little dash to say it's been done. So 39.6. Oh, awesome. Okay, this one was already done. Great. That was the one that I had done on stream before. Okay, it looks like, aha, Creative Trousers is here. I'm curious if that one shows up on the other side of the house when we re-render this. It should show up right underneath where my mouse is, though. Okay, so this is going to be 39.5 and 52.9. Okay, so that should be leggings. We could be opening these up to verify that it's leggings. So instead of 39.5, it's 39.4948. Awesome. 52.9 becomes 52.8675. Great. So just out of curiosity, if I go ahead and do a little snip here, and then reload the plugin, then we can maybe see that things have shifted a little bit. Yeah, we can see the crate is now, instead of being on the left side of the little house, it's definitely more towards the right. Awesome. Okay, crate of helmets. We're at 39.5 and 53. So we can see it's actually 39.4521 and 30.0308. Awesome. One more in this area. This will probably take like 5 minutes to do, but it's one of those things that you only have to do it once. Okay, I'm where the box should be. Okay, obviously that's going to change location more significantly. We're at 39.3. What is this? Crate of boots. Awesome. 39.3 and 52.9. Great. What is it actually? 2674 and 9309. Almost a half a degree off in both directions. Cool. We're just going to ride on over to the meat hall and do those next. And this is perhaps a less thrilling part, but this is an important part of a plugin developer's life, is sometimes the reason why a plugin is so good at offloading some of that mental effort of a player is because the author or authors or a number of people have gone out and gathered that information and stuck it into, holy moly, look how far off we are from that circle. Oh, this is necessary. Someone else has gone out and gathered and consolidated information once so that it's there. It feels that way on the D tracker sometimes, where it's a lot of work to gather together, but now that it is gathered together, it's done, right? Until they bring out the next batch of deeds anyway. And so I get to use that for each of my characters, and I get to have offloaded that to me of the past. Okay, this is gloves 3, so it's actually 0.8426. Yeah, like a half degree off there, or half of a hundredth of a degree. No, half of a tenth degree. That's the way. That's the one. And 5242. Awesome. So that's where we are here. We're gonna grab the other one, which should be in this direction. Wait, that's the door. Whoops. Okay. More or less in the middle there. That's a crate of boots. So we're coming on down here, 40.1, 52.5. That's the right location. And we're going to come on in and say it's actually 0676. Half of a tenth of a degree, and then 5 becomes 4852. Great. Now, I'm doing these dashes at the end. It's a little bit overkill because, of course, all the decimal digits of precision are a pretty good hint at what we're doing. In fact, this will become even more obvious if we go ahead and justify these along the equal sign, because at that point, they should all be lining up, and since they're not, we're missing some. Okay, we're looking in this direction. All right, crate of boots. I think this is the last crate of boots here. We can see we're off positionally, but boots of 41 and 40.1, 52.1. That's the one. So it's actually 1467. Yep, we can see that half of a tenth of a degree makes a big difference on a map of this resolution. Awesome. All of our boots are done. And if we go ahead and reload, just to make sure we haven't missed anything, we can see that now that the dot is just where I'm standing. So for anyone who, like me, who is trying to navigate around town and find these things using the Waypoint plugin to do it, or in this case, it's built into the Hytbold Assistant, just lots of /LOCs, it's going to be a lot easier to find these things. Okay, trousers. Great. Trousers are leggings in the code. We're at 40.1, 51.7. That's this one. And that becomes 40.1495. Awesome. And 51.7, 173. Great. I feel like I'm forgetting the hyphens, but with all the justification that we just did to line up these things in their columns, I don't even think it's necessary anymore. Okay. We're done with that crate. Let's go along in kind of in the path that I would be following once this is all done. All right, gloves. We're up to gloves, and that is 39.9 and 51.7, so it must be this one. That 9 becomes 8809, and the 51.7 becomes 7043. Awesome. Across the street, we've got a crate of shirts. Okay, shirts. I feel like at some point I might want to unify or rectify the name in the code with the crate names, chest versus shirts and so on. But that might be overkill. All right, we're at 40.0, 51.9. We are at this one, and that 0.0, we can see it's actually going to be 39.9617. And the longitude is instead of 0.9, it's 0.8867. Awesome. Next door. Where are you? Up there. Let me stand on top of you. Okay. This is shoulders. I only have 2 of them left. We're at 39.9 and 52, so it must be this one. 8917. Now, if I want to be really nice to a future maintainer, because that could very well be me, I could actually document to say, hey, it's the one behind the whatever building, right? Like in textual format, I could try to say something here. But coming up with 18 descriptions of where these boxes end when I just want to say it's in Harwick is probably more work than it's going to be. Just go to the coordinates. What do you want from me? So future me can maybe be like, why'd you do that to me? All right. One of them is along this road here. Oh, I see it. Crate of shoulder. Now I'm getting off of my mount to do this because I'm trying to use my feet as the sort of the center point here. And it's a lot easier to see where the center point is when you have feet and not a goat. Okay, this is shoulder guards. We only have one left, so hopefully it's 39.4, 52.3. Yep, perfect. But it's actually 4180 and 2565. Very cool. I know I'm right here. Okay, we'll do the helm here, but then we need to go pick up this one over to the right. Okay, this is crate of helmets. So we're in helms. We've only got one left, 39.2, 52.2, perfect. And we're going to go ahead and say that's actually 1524, and that is actually 1526. So big thanks again to Thurlor, who developed the Precise Coordinates plugin, which is really just the same logic as all of these other plugins, which is to say, hey, I've got the /loc command, how do I get coordinates out of that? But just with a brilliant idea of just don't round so much, just give us more decimal digits of precision. It's fantastic. Oops, I'm not actually trying to put that on. Okay. So that is a crate of shirts, however. So we're into the chest, 30.3 and 51.9, perfect. But it's actually 2758 and 0.9046. All right. Over in this direction, we should, oh, there it is, crate of gloves. So if there were more than 18 things, there might be more efficient ways we could go about trying to grab this information. Should be 39 and 50. Yeah, okay. It's actually going to be 38.9948. Manually getting this information is suitable for something with such a relatively small number of data points. But I'd be hesitant if there were like hundreds or thousands of these things going out and manually measuring it. There might be more efficient ways to go about it. So the scope really makes a difference. The amount of time it would take to automate data collection like this, you know, you've got to take into account how long it will just do to do it manually. If it's going to take 5 or 10 minutes to do it manually, then you might spend a lot more time trying to automate it. This is trousers. Than you will ever save versus just doing it. All right, so we're at 38.9654 and 0.2147. Only one more thing. It's across the road, and we're hoping it is a chest or shirt. Wow, that is so far off. Fantastic. This is exactly why I'm trying to do this now. Oh, wow. Can you not get on it? Oh, invisible walls, you are cruel. All right. Well, it's going to be as good as it's going to be. 38.9544 and 52.4783. Okay. And we can see we're now at least on top of that blue dot. Good times. Okay. So that's the first goal, which was go ahead and increase the precision of these way beyond anything we need. We're talking about taking a slight step to the left precision kind of thing. Totally unnecessary. Oh, RealTough says, can you put different colors on the dots for each sets? Technically, yes. We are in control of what image we are showing for a dot. However, my goal is for it to be an unnecessary thing. My goal for this plugin, if you want to use it that way, is go to the next dot and pick it up. And if it was wrong, click the dot. And if it was right, all the relevant dots disappear. Go to the next closest dot and repeat. Just make a circuit through town. But it's a good idea to go ahead and make a note of that, because yeah, just having it there, if people don't want to be that precise and use it that way, they can at least differentiate visually. So provide a color option for a dot for each dot so that each of the 6 sets can be color coordinated. Now, the challenge there is, of course, a lot of people have some sort of color seeing deficiency, especially red-green color seeing deficiency. So getting a set of colors that works well should be in the back of my head somewhere, so I don't have just have like 6 shades of red or something. So there are websites out there that purport to give colorblind friendly sets of colors. So you're like, I need 6 colors, and I would like them to be, you know, very contrasting or not very contrasting, and it'll dump some out that you can choose from that'll be like, oh, okay, if someone has red-green color vision issues, they should still be able to differentiate these shades against each other. So there's some cool references out there. I don't know, you know, if they're 100% correct, and so it's always nice if you have people who are going to tell you, oh yes, this looks good or this does not look good. Yeah, real tough. I get what you're saying. So each of the 3 helms would be one color. Each of the 3 shirts or chest pieces would be one color, or a different color. I think that's a good idea. Hopefully that's what I wrote down in my hurry. So that each of the 6 sets can be color coordinated. Yeah. e.g. 3 shirts are one color, 3 pants are a different color. Or are you saying for each of the sets? We don't know the sets anyway, so that's not doable. Okay, cool. So I think it's a neat idea. Right now, there's the dot is just an image file. It's hard-coded. So I would either need to produce that image file in 6 different shades, or I would need to look at maybe some in-game resources that might be able to work. Okay, awesome. Great question. Oh, interesting. RealTough is marked as watching without audio. Well, just in case you weren't able to hear my response, I will put it into chat. All right. Don't press the escape key. It closes the windows you don't want to do close. Let's go on into our to-do file and into our repository and make sure all of our recent changes are saved. So I didn't even have a to-do item, but let's go ahead and commit this anyway. Updated crate coordinates with higher precision. Okay, and we can see this if we do a comparison. We can see the important changes. Yeah, are the numbers changing, and then there was also some white space changing, some spaces in this case. Lovely. Okay, what else do we need? When you pick up a box, we want to know when we have picked up an item. Now that's going to give us an effect. So let's go open up this crate of shirts. When I open up this crate of shirts, an effect is added. It is breastplate of the winter, and we can see it lasts for 5 minutes. So immediately a thought that occurs to me is, hey, we should probably show how long we have left on it. Show how long we have left on the effect somewhere. But when we get breastplate of the winter, we know that we're looking for breastplate of the winter. It matches. Awesome. So we want to go ahead and visually indicate that we have the thing, possibly by restoring these green borders, I don't know, and remove everything here. But first we want to do an announcement. So let's talk, what do we need to do? Start paying custom effects. Okay. Let's look at effects. In order to do that, we're going to want to pay attention to effects added and effects removed. And to do that, let's come on in to the API. So if we look at the gameplay, local player, what we would like to have is, I don't know, effect added, effect removed, get effects. I feel like there's a way to say effect added and effect removed. And so, sure, let's look at the effects list. Anything useful here? Effect added, effect removed. Awesome. So what we want to do is we want to get a handle onto the effects list, and we want to say, hey, when an effect is added or effect is removed, tell us. All right, let's look at that. All right, load quest dress up. At the end of this function, let's go ahead and get a handle to that local that effects list. So local player equals, well, how do we get that thing? Well, the local player itself, I think, has a way to get it. Nope. All right, how do we get the local player? I knew how to do this, but if I can't remember, I can always cheat and go look at another plugin that does know how to do this. So let's go ahead and do that. If we come on into Documents, Plugin Along, Plugins, and come on into, say, Cube Plugins. I know the deed tracker pays attention to this. Now, where is it? I don't actually remember. Let's start with main. Local player. Nope, it wasn't there. So we'll just do a recursive search here for local player. and it was awesome in the globals file. All right, fair enough. We can see turbine gameplay.localPlayer get instance. That's what I was looking for. Oh, okay, and it's marked static, of course. Get instance, that's going to be a static function that says, hey, give me the thing. This is therefore probably a singleton. Cool. So let's go ahead and borrow that bit of code from a different plugin. All right, so we have a local player, and local effect list equals local player get effects. And this is what we can go ahead and start registering our events on. So effect list dot effects added equals anonymous function that takes a sender and args and will do something. Let's go ahead and just, for right now, just spit out something. Now, what is effects added? Oh, wow. So that's an event. Effects list args add table. Well, that's exciting. Args dot. You know what? Added. We're just going to verify that we got here. And the other thing is effect list effect removed. We're going to say is equal to an anonymous function taking sender and args. And we're going to do the same thing. Just verify that we got here. Removed. Okay. Well, for that, we can go ahead and unload. We're going to reload Hytbold Assistant. We want to have access to this standard output. And we're going to go ahead and grab from this crate of shirts. Added. Awesome. So the callback is working. I wonder if we can just do that again. Oh, that's going to be so easy to work with this. Now, funny thing, we can see added got called first and removed got called later. So that's going to be something we want to pay attention to, is if we go to a shirt and we pick it up, it's going to say added. Maybe we don't care about removing it all. Maybe we only care about the effect being added and we start a 5-minute counter for that type. Let's think about that. So we might go ahead and just say, no, not going to worry about removed at all. But let's see, do we have a dump function? Merge, decopy, dump. We have a dump function. Awesome. When you're trying to figure out what's in a table, sometimes it's really easy, nice to just be able to call dump and args and say, what's up with this? What am I getting here? Don't want that. Okay, so I've unloaded, I've reloaded. Let's pick this up. And we can see index equals 8. All right, fair enough. What that's telling me is that we might be able to say effect list dot get args dot index and that is going to be mean it's expecting to? What are you expecting? You're not. Okay. You are because I didn't do the colon notation. Okay, so local effect equals, and then instead of dumping the args, we can now dump the effect. Actually, we could probably say get name. There we go. All right, open up the crate of shirts, and we can see breastplate of the winter. That corresponds to the name that we're seeing here. Remember, though, that if you're doing it by name, then you're language specific, which means you're going to want to collect what these strings are in each of your possible languages that you're going to support. Now, is there anything else we could do instead of name? Get ID, sure. What ID is that going to be? Now that's going to be an effect, sorry, that's going to be an ID identifying a specific effect. So each time we put this on, we're going to see a different number. It seems to be incrementing. That's pretty cool. And it's probably character specific. Like you wouldn't necessarily make that, because we're seeing that incrementing and we're sharing a server with a bunch of other people, I assume. 55 non-anonymous people over here on Treebeard. Because we're seeing it just incrementing like that, that shouts very strongly that it's probably just a local number. It doesn't mean anything except to the character ourselves, and we could expect that the next one's probably going to be 34, but no guarantee. And it's just a way to keep two identically named effects separate. So we shouldn't count on that being useful or meaningful in any way, just unique. Okay. So that ID, not going to be very helpful unless we were trying to track that whole added removed thing where a new one is added and an old one is removed. You can use that ID to say, aha, I can match those up and cool, and now we just have one new added, and that's the new ID that I care about. All right, what else do we have? In fact, this is an effect, so we could come into the documentation and take a look. Okay, so we can get categories, awesome. Description, that'd be interesting. You've downed a chess piece you found in Harwick. All right, probably not very useful for us, but cool. You can get the duration. That'll be, it might be helpful, but I think we're just going to hard code 5 minutes for right now. Doesn't seem like it's going to change. Icon, that could be interesting. If nothing else, one could imagine a simplification of this UI where you just had the in-game icon, maybe a little bit bigger, instead of an actual picture of someone wearing the item. Anyway, if we want the icon, we can get it. We can get that ID. It's just a unique ID. It doesn't mean anything. We get the name, start time, curable, debug, dispellable. None of those make sense. So the name's going to be what we're going to use here. So we're going to get that name. We don't need to dump it. We're just getting a string back. Okay, so we are able to start documenting things. How are we going to best have a lookup table? I'm not sure. Let's just make something up. Local outfit info equals. I'm just going to make something up and have the information for later. So this is chests. The idea that they're each going to be in here. And then we're going to have breastplate of the winter or something. For now, it's just going to be an empty table. I don't know. It's, we'll play around with that later. Is that a good idea? Yeah, so I think local reverse lookup equals. So if we had this, whoops, we would go ahead and say equals and chests, something like that. That's not a key. So if you pick up breastplate of the winter, you should be able to delve into this and find each of the ones in there. And so, yeah, okay, we'll start with that. Oops. Looks like it's on the other side here. All right, leggings of the balladeer. Great. Leggings. Not sure what we're going to store there again, but same thing. We can just say equals leggings. Now, the key here probably needs to be a global variable of some point. Like we'll probably want to have like local leggings equals leggings, and that'll keep us from making any silly typos, where we can use this key in both of these locations. Easy to change later, and importantly, very obvious that they say the same things. So local chests equals chests. And it could even be a number. Like this doesn't have to be the key chest. It could be 5, right? The point is that's super easy to change later. Now that we can guarantee that these are both conceptually pointing at the same thing instead of just having the same string, which means they're probably pointing at the same thing. Okay, where were we? Helm of the Balladeer. Great. Helms. Okay, gonna need that. Local helms equal helms. Now, seeing the same thing here, these are duplications. And whenever we're seeing duplications, we should be thinking, what's the chances that that's going to cause us problems? The answer? It is high. For one thing, localization. If this were a variable that was filled in based on the client language, then the lookup tables would be language independent. So, for instance, en version of the strings. Local helm balladeer, right? And we just say equals. So this is the English version of it. But if this were the French or the German version, there would be a different string there. But the point is, we don't actually care. What we're looking at is building up some lookup tables that are language independent. So these tables don't ever change, and it's just the key happens to change. So let's go ahead and do that same thing where we hoist this out into a language specific and en section. Local. And this whole thing, what is that? Chest winter. This whole thing would just be an if lang equals English, else if lang equals German, else if lang equals French, else, I don't know, throw your hands up. Not sure what's going to happen. So same thing, get the string out of there. And finally, same thing, leggings of the balladeer, local, what did I call these? No, leggings. And that's balladeer. Fantastic. So that's just going to make this a lot more, well, a lot less fragile, right? If there was a typing here like, oh, leggings should be spelled with 1G, though it, not. But, oh, I spelled balladeer incorrectly. You're changing it in one place, and you're not breaking any lookup table by doing it. Okay, awesome. Well, that was the helm of the, helm of the balladeer. Great. Now, if we cross the hour marking, the contents of these things could randomize. So it could be that if, we're 13 minutes after. Hopefully it's already happened. You found a non piece of clothing. Gloves of the balladeer. Great. All right. Helm, chest. Gloves is next. Local gloves, glove balladeer. And then we can do the lookup, but the lookup almost writes itself, right? You say, you need gloves, local gloves equals gloves. And in gloves, we have that key. It's going to point to something, not sure what. And over here, same thing. We have the gloves equal gloves. So when we get one of these, we know where we are. Now, is this the right structure? I'm not sure, but definitely the data we're collecting is important data to collect. And so if we end up changing this, I wouldn't be too surprised, right? This is just an on-the-fly putting data into some structures, and hopefully that works. All right, so we have a chest. We need local chest of something equals this. Okay. Balladeer. And chest balladeer equals chests. Great. I know that we're missing something. I can't remember if we had this helmet. I think we did. Yep, that's the helm of the balladeer. Great. And then across the pond here for the final one in this section. Okay, shoulders of the balladeer. Great. All right, we have helm then shoulders. So local shoulder balladeer. All right, so shoulder balladeer, and then the reverse lookup. Okay, that completes the northeast. You can tell these are divided up into kind of 4 regions. We have the northeast, the west, the southeast, and the south. So let's come on over to the west here, or southwest, and get a crate of boots. All right, boots of the Regal. Have we done boots yet? We have not. Local boots, but that's the last one. Boot of the Regal. Okay. Awesome. That's the first one, just coming along kind of north to south. Helmets. Helm of the Regal. Within each category, I'm just kind of doing it alphabetically. English, so Regal. And same thing. All right, trousers, leggings of the winter. Okay. Now, I don't know for sure that these will stay in this format. I could definitely see these just being members of a different table, sort of constrained to them in the namespace. But it's a start. All right, we haven't done the reverse lookup, so leggings winter equal leggings. Very cool. All right, I think, did we do helmets? Helm of the Regal, we did. Okay. All right, last helmet. Helm of Winter. So, local Helm Winter. And then Helm Winter equals helms. Okay, the final one in the west here. Shoulders of the Winter. Well, I should probably spell those correctly next time. Okay, we have the shoulders of the winter, and that's the final one over here. Let's go get the 2 over on the other side of the meat hall. That's going to be our gloves of the winter in this case. All right. Let's create over here is boots. Boots of winter. Awesome. Okay, final group to the southeast. Just running along the road here. So, last boots of the balladeer. Running along the road. Next one is over to the left of this building here, the barracks. All right, leggings of the Regal. All right. Around this corner, gloves. And we can see there's some inconsistency. I actually blame the English language, but there's some inconsistency where I'm using singular or plural. Like I'm trying to do plural for the category, like gloves, but glove, like obviously you're picking up 2 gloves, but glove balladeer, glove regal, glove winter makes it more obvious that it's a specific one. But then I'm not doing it. I should do legging balladeer, but I have done leggings balladeer because it's a little bit more idiomatic outside of the code. So that'll be some cleanup to go back in, but it's not worth holding up this part of the process. All right, that's the breastplate. So that is chest, breastplate of the Regal. Awesome. And that's what we're missing. Now, all of this is currently in line here. It should not be. I would like to hoist this out into like a data file for that can sit somewhere in quests or something. So it's in line here because I don't know what I'm doing with it. But once we know what we're doing with it, we can find a better place for it and find a better structure for it as well. But transforming this into the form that we actually need should go a lot faster than the process of gathering it in the first place. Now, a lot of this information is technically probably available on the wiki and various blog posts that are out there, but when you're looking for matching a specific piece of text, it needs to be absolutely letter by letter, capital letter by lowercase letter by spaces, white space, big space or little space. Everything needs to be completely identical, or else it doesn't work. And so sometimes the safest thing is just to get the game to tell you the thing and copy paste it into the code. All right, shoulders of the regal, awesome. And now I can be sure that on the English client, when these characters in this order come across, it's going to match. It's going to match what I have. I don't have to worry about, oh, did this person spell shoulders, without a U, the way I just did the quite recently. Okay, so we have 3 helms, 3 shoulders, 3 chests, 3 gloves, 3 leggings, 3 boots. We have our 6 categories. We have 3 in each of these categories, and a reverse lookup to get the categories from the item. Why am I bothering to do this? Well, I've dealt and I've written code for plugins, and I've seen other people doing this as well, where you have a thing and you're trying to find it in a table. So you have to search through the table to see, okay, for each key, does the value match the thing that I'm looking for? And it is just so much easier to say, I've got some text, is it in this table? Does this key exist in the table? It is so much easier to do that. And so for something like this, where I can manually make the lookup table, it's kind of feels like a no-brainer to go ahead and do that. If it was something more complicated, you could write code to invert the table or reverse it however you want. But in this case, I can take the text and find the category. I can then find the category and I can know each of the things. I'm hoping to also use that category in here. So the crate locations will probably be divided up into helm, and then within helm there's going to be helm 1, helm 2, helm 3. Maybe I could also see these categories, instead of being plural, it'll just be helm, shoulder, chest, glove, leggings, boots, whatever, identical to what's here, and then you just then we just concatenate this together. The string plus 1, the string plus 2, the string plus 3, and that's the corresponding crate name. I could see doing that. The benefit of this being a fixed set, just 18 crates, is that there's a lot of leeway for just hard coding things that maybe could be a little bit more algorithmic if we had to. Okay. All right, we have the English names. Well, we would want to replicate this for German and French, or just look it up in some data files if you have access to those. And the rest of this is arbitrary. We can call it whatever we want. And I'm already thinking that should be helm. We have shoulder, chest. Okay, shoulder, chest. Gloves, yes. Leggings, and boots. So these at least match. And already starting to think, oh, maybe this should be, dependent on that. So let's hoist that up here. And we could already be thinking, hey, that's, helms concatenated with 1, for example. But you could do the same thing, helms 2, helms 3. So let's go ahead and do that and see how much we regret our life choices. Now, I'm just taking advantage of some multi-editing options that exist in Visual Studio Code. So, all right, it's muscle memory, but if I hold Control and Alt, I can go ahead and move the cursor down and it starts a multi-select. I can go Control Shift right to move my word boundaries, or you can just do Shift and select the stuff you want to overwrite, paste in, then as you type, it's the same on each of the lines. Okay, so same thing, Alt and Control to make it, just Shift to make your selection, but it's multiples instead of singles. Paste it, and ... and quote. And finally, boots. So multi-editing just feels like it reduces a bunch of the same typing over and over, because it does do that. So I'm a big fan of it. Okay, reline those up. And let's go ahead and unload and load and make sure we haven't broken anything while we're doing it. Okay, one of the things that might be nice to do is to save off the outfit that you depicted here. But it's such a transient thing, we'll revisit that at a later time. Oh, I'm on the wrong side of this building while I'm thinking about things. Okay, so what we would like to do now is we would like to know if the thing that we picked up matches the thing that we said we were looking for. So, for instance, if I pick up this crate of helmets, or open it, I get the Helm of the Winter. That happens to match my selection here. So we would like to make some sort of announcement about that. So first of all, we need to be able to check to see what is it. What do we have? Let's go ahead and we'll leave the debug output there. We want to look at the carousel to see what is it that we have selected, and do we have that as an option? So let's find Helm Carousel. We're using Create Carousel. Let's pop on in piece. I have a feeling that there's going to be need to be some restructuring in order to really be able to effortlessly go back and forth between the chat text, well, the effect text, and everything we've done up until this point. That's fine. Making these changes is normal. So, first of all, what are we doing with this helm here? Okay, that's the piece. We're using it in setup piece. Anything else? We're also creating it, the image carousel control. Nope, don't want that. The other one. Oh, that's not good. I've passed it in and then I've overridden it. Let's go ahead and call that images, and we're passing that on over. That'll make it easier. Okay, so all we do with that piece is we pass it off to setup piece. Okay, cool. With this, and again, documentation would be great. It'd help us kind of remember the things that we wrote more than 48 hours ago. We have a piece, and we're going to go ahead and add the outfit for that piece. So hat or helm or whatever. All right, so image request dress up. So these are indexes into here. Helm, shoulders, chest, hands, legs, feet. And already we can see a problem is we have very similar. We have some overlap here with this right here. Helm, shoulders, chest, gloves, leggings, boots. Helm, shoulders, chest, hands, legs instead of leggings. We're asking for not being able to interop very nicely. These should probably be the same. We should have a single place where we're doing this. Okay. It is likely, in my mind, that the quest specific stuff could be pulled out into a different file. It could still put stuff in an images array, but the code that does it could be not just the generic images, but in like a quest specific area. But for right now, it is here. And what we can do is we can say, hey, before images, we have globals. And we could put some stuff there. For instance, we could have quest globals. And we could go ahead and take helm, shoulders, chest, gloves, leggings, boots, and put them here. In fact, we're going to stop having them be local. They're definitely no longer local. So this is for dress up. Okay, so that is there. And now we can start taking a look at those places that we're looking at dress up. So let's find anything that references that. All right, we have arrows, don't need to worry about that. The things in images, I'm going to ignore. Okay, we want this to be case sensitive. And okay, so just two places. Dress up map, don't need to worry about it. And okay, just here. So the thing that's getting passed in, piece, to add outfit, which is coming from setup piece, which is coming from create carousel, that needs to, instead of being hard-coded here, needs to just be this. Now, is that the correct spelling of these things? Probably not. Let's go ahead and fix that. In fact, let me move this whole thing over. Okay, we can see the pluralization in the names here is catching us off guard. So helms, chests, oh, not hands, but gloves. Awesome. Leggings. And boots. Okay, so that's good. So the thing that is calling create carousel, we are now passing in the value of these global variables. So when we go into setup piece, we set this global variables, go into add outfit, and so dress up itself needs to use these. So we need to go to the images and use those values instead. Helms, shoulders, chests, gloves, and this is immediately starting to get us some unification in language. Because we're using these central variables, we're no longer having boots in some places and feet in other places. Well, we're going to have those for a while, but we're able to kind of narrow down our language choices. Okay, so out of curiosity, we haven't crashed anything yet. That's good to see. If we pick up helmets, awesome, helm of winter. So what we want to do is be able to know what was selected here. I'm not sure we have a way to do that yet, so we may need to invent that. So the image carousel control, do we have a way to get that yet? We have make arrow button, left arrow, right arrow, get next image index. We don't currently have a way to say, what do you have? What we would like, currently we only have the abbreviated form. And I think that is fine, but it might be that we'll want another lookup table to resolve that. You know, if we have helm and we have winter, then we should be able to get out of that, in the English at least, helm of winter. So let's come on back here a moment and say, okay, in the English versions, if we had local outfit strings equals, we could even see outfit strings en, but that's okay. We're going to have a table here, and again, we're going to have helms equals, and in each of these, we would have Balladeer, Regal, and Winter. I'm going to just do a multi-select to grab those. It's just going to be easier. So Balladeer, Regal, Winter equals, and then that's going to give us Is it Balladeer or Balladeer? Balladeer. Okay. Any place where we have Balladeer, we need to fix that. Fantastic. Balladeer. Balladeer. A deer. A deer. Fantastic. Ugh. So we have Balladeer, and then for that, we're going to get Helms Balladeer. Great. In fact, we don't need a table reference. We're just going back to the string. So this constructs from the piece. But we can see right away, this is not language specific. It is. It is going to be language specific. Because when we do that creation, the text is going to be in the outfit names. Outfit names is going to be in here. Okay. Is that a mnemonic to help me remember, Little Redhead? Do a deer? Do a deer. In Dutch, it's do. Okay, so there's really outfit names of Balladeer. Is it? What's outfit names looks like? Okay, in here, outfit names of Balladeer. Because in the English, it's going to be, we have a helm, and it's a Balladeer, therefore it's the helm of the Balladeer. That's what we need. Okay. What's going on with that? Okay. So that can be the lookup table where we know we just picked up chest Balladeer, so we know we're talking about chests. We can look at the chests carousel to say what is the piece that you're looking at, and they can say, oh, we have Regal, and then we can compare that finally to say, okay, is the helm Regal the thing that we picked up? Axion says, what programming languages are you proficient in? Well, some days I do not think Lua is one of them, but the main one that I do for my day-to-day work or for hobby programs that I just want to pop off really quickly is C#. In the past, I've used C++ quite a lot, delving into C for some historical code, and then sort of dipping my toes into other things as they come up. So occasionally some Perl, occasionally some Python. But yeah, I'd say C# is a lot of what I do. And then Lua for plugins. So if it seems like I struggle sometimes getting Lua to do what I want it to do, it's mostly because I am. Okay, so I'm going to construct this really fast of what it's going to look like, I think. So what we have what we need is in our globals, where did it go? Maxion says, cool, I'm picking up Python as my first language. Nice. I hope to get to Lua and do something like you one day. Oh, great. The world needs more people writing plugins for games they enjoy. Python, if I recall correctly, is interesting in how it uses white space to delineate blocks of code. It's very common in other languages to either use keywords, so for blah, 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 do, end. So you could say I equals 1 to 10 do, end. So we're using keywords to say this is the start of the block, whoops, this is the end of the block, and everything in here is part of this for loop. Or in a brace-oriented language for, where I equals 0, I is less than 10, I guess it'd be 1 to, there we go, plus plus I, and then open curly brace, close curly brace. So the compiler knows that everything between these two curly braces is part of that block. And with Python, I think it's just with indentation. Correct me if I've got this wrong, or if they've changed it in the last 10 years. But I don't know how to write a for thing in Python, but it would be, this is indented, no, stop auto-completing. This is indented, and then as soon as you stop being indented, this is not part of the loop. And so it's just different in how it does it. Like all the languages have some way of saying this is a part of the this control structure, this is not a part of it. Python, I think, just when I was exposed to it long ago, this was how it did it, by just having that text indented. I guess I could. So everything in here is part of the loop. This is not part of the loop, based solely on the white space, by how far it's indented. That definitely took me a while to get my brain around, if I ever did, because I'm so used to either keyword things for Lua, Visual Basic, some other languages, or just brace-based things where you just say start and end, and everything in there is just naturally a part of that block. So yeah, bear in mind as you're picking up Python that is how it, assuming it still does that, that is how it does control block, specifying what's in a control block, but that's just a way to do it. And so you're going to be exposed to other ways to do it as well. Okay, so the outfit names, we've got the shoulders, we've got the chests, and we're going to be seeing some duplication here, so that's a good sign that maybe we could be initializing this in a loop or something instead of hard coding this. So in each of these places, we've got helm, balladeer, shoulder. Oh man, I'm going to get myself into trouble with this leggings balladeer. Okay, we're gonna quickly step back and say, okay, legging, those each need to be not plural. It's going to be better that way. Same thing with the boots. We need these to be not plural as well. Okay. If you're confident in your refactoring tools, you can just do a variable rename, and the UI, the coding environment, will go ahead and do the variable changes for you. I'm not confident in how Visual Studio Code with the Lua extension would handle such a thing, and there were only a couple of references to take care of. But if you're confident in your tools, it's better to let the tool do it. Yeah, usually. Okay, as long as you have source control to undo it if the tool did it wrong. So we have this reverse lookup where we're going to go ahead and replace that with chest balladeer, chest regal, chest winter. And look at all this duplication of code. It really feels like this is ridiculous, right? Like, you have gloves, you have balladeer, we should be able to construct this variable. And there are ways to do that, but I'm going to skip doing that for right now. because my goal is to get something working, not to have the cleanest code at all. And there'll be, hopefully, some time for code cleanup as we go. I may regret that. Okay, so we have the way to, given the type of the outfit and the image that's being shown, we should be able to reconstruct the string that corresponds to the thing that we're looking for. So let's try to prove that that's the case. And the way this is going to work is, Miston1K says, for how long have you been creating plugins for LOTRO? The first thing I did on LOTRO, and this I guess I would recommend this for most people, is, you're going to have the best success writing a plugin for a video game, LOTRO or anything else, if it's something you're really interested in. You're really interested in solving the problem. So if someone else comes to you and says, oh, it'd be cool if you could make a plugin that does this, and you have no interest in it, that's a warning sign that you're going to have a hard time keeping up when the going gets tough, right? You're going to have a hard time to latch onto, oh, why am I even doing this? So it's good if it solves an immediate problem that you have while playing the game. And the immediate problem that I had was I loved the Minstrel Buff plugin by Melida, which is fantastic if you're playing a minstrel, but I was struggling to understand some of the more esoteric concepts of minstrels, which is to say your ballads have a tooltip that say expires if out of combat for 9 seconds, which is just not a very good explanation of the actual thing that happens. So I was interested in modifying this plugin to visually show when are the ballads going to expire. First of all, if it is just 9 seconds, cool. Slap a 9-second timer on there, and then when it goes away, the ballad should expire. And when that wasn't the case, go and figure out why it wasn't the case. And so I made a patch for Minstrel Buff. Let's see, can we see that here? Yes, out of combat timer. So the first thing I did, I think, was make a patch here. And we can see from the history here that was in November of 2020. So that could have been the first thing. Now, dtracker is a plugin that I've made not quite from scratch, but a lot more of me as a lot more of it was under my control than the Minstrel Buff plugin because I was just doing a patch on someone else's. And the first version that came out was, it looks like 5 months later. So yeah, the Minstrel Buff plugin, I was using it all the time with my Minstrel in game, and I kept saying, like, oh man, I would like to change it. I would like it to do this different thing. And I would say that's a great place for anyone who's looking to learn to work with plugins in a video game, Lord of the Rings Online in this case, is be using an existing plugin and be like, oh, I wish it did something different. And just, look into it. Like, what would it take to change it? From the very simple, I wish it was just a little bit bigger, a little bit oranger, a little bit whatever, to the really complicated, oh, I would like it to do this thing that I have to write a whole bunch of new code for. So part of the trick for plugins is kind of getting a sense of what is the scope of this. Like, is this an easy change? Is this going to be a few hours? Is this going to be a few years worth of effort? And sometimes you can know that ahead of time, and sometimes you just have to do a little bit of investigation. Like, we're doing some investigation right now in the code of, given the text that we just see on this effect, can we kind of figure out if that correlates to the item that we chose? And the answer should be yes, because that's been the goal this whole time. But the answer might be not yet. We have to change some of the existing code in order to make this easier. Like, we just made another lookup table. Modifying existing plugins can be a lot like that, where you take a plugin and you're like, I would like it to do this thing. I don't know if it's possible. And if it is possible, I don't know the scope of the effort. And so you might start by just doing a little thing, a smaller thing. First of all, can I change anything in this plugin and understand the effect that change happened? Now, okay, I'm able to make the window slightly bigger or slightly oranger or slightly more transparent. Cool. Now, can I make a little bit bigger of a change, a little bit closer towards what I want it to be? I wanted this text to be a different color, a different size, say different things. Can I be a little bit closer to that? Can I find the place where that text appears on the screen? So it's oftentimes this incremental approach of, can I understand the plugin enough to start making meaningful changes? And based on that, how much effort do I think it would be to really change the plugin to do what I'm trying to do? But modifying existing plugins feels much easier than just starting from scratch, which is why when I do start from scratch with a plugin, I'm usually just taking the shell of an existing plugin, usually something else I've worked on, and removing all the stuff that doesn't matter and starting from there. Because you don't need to reinvent a save file system or a settings system or an options window. Like, these things are going to be very similar from plugin to plugin. So starting really from scratch with a completely empty file, that's not very realistic anyway. Usually it's, okay, we have this template over here that does all these things, and we just need to start doing the different stuff. Cool, fun question, thank you. XM asks, after you made your first plugins, you applied for a job at Turbine? I did not. For a couple of reasons. For one, by the time I was making plugins, they had the game was now being developed by Standing Stone Games, or SSG. But also, even if I wasn't quite happy with my current job and was looking for a change in profession, SSG wants people to be local to their offices in the northeast of the United States, and I live in the Netherlands, which makes for a difficult commute. So I don't think that's going to be a match anytime soon. But it seems like there's some very nice people who work at SSG, and they're able to do some really impressive things given the scope of their team. I have heard that they are working as a small team, and the world of Lord of the Rings Online is very large. So I think it would be a really neat place to work, but I actually really enjoy the job I have right now, which is nothing to do with video games, but it's still fun. Okay, so we are looking to validate that when an effect happens, and here we are with effect added, that we can meaningfully figure out if that is the thing that we are looking for. I'm just realizing that lookup table, this could be a different way. Like, we could have a lookup table that breaks this into its component parts. Oh, so many ways to do this. Like Helm of the Winter, we could just have an entry that says this is both Helm and Winter. And that might be an easier way to go as well. But what we want to do is carousel. We want to have a function that says what is the text of this image that is selected. Or what image number is selected. That is fine too. Because well, we should be able to get the outfit name. Okay. I'm realizing image carousel control is okay, because we're passing in an integer and we're using an integer as the key, then when we iterate through this table, they can be in a predictive order. So that's what's going to save us there. But that means we should be able to get the outfit index, and we should be able to get the associated name. We don't even need to get that text from the carousel, and that doesn't make so much control. So what we want is to get the selected index. Okay, cool. So function image carousel control get selected index, and we can start some documentation. Get the image number 1.n that is leftmost for single image displays. This will be the only Oh, that's redundant. Yeah, so ideally the carousel could support showing more than one image at a time. And so selected indexes may be wrong. Get leftmost image index. Let's start with that. Image number 1 through n, that is leftmost. Yeah, so if you're only showing one thing, it's just going to be the image that is visible. Once upon a time, Standing Stone Games did have some job postings out there. So if anyone is interested in working with Standing Stone Games, you might search or keep a search going for when those job postings go up. I don't think they have a lot of postings because it seems like a very stable workplace. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of turnover, but it doesn't hurt to keep an eye out for such things. Okay, so what we want is to document that this is going to be return integer the image index, or yeah, image number. Cool. And by documenting it with this format, that means that when we hover over a call to that, we can see that it takes nothing, it returns an integer, and we get that documentation, that very friendly IntelliSense. And what do we get? Annotation specify the return value is required here. Love it. Okay, so the self-visible image index should be what we're looking for. Now, what we need is a way to reference those carousels. So create carousel. Helm carousels, shoulders carousel, that's just not gonna work for us. We need to be able to index that into an array. So local carousels equals a table, and what we want is, again, we're going to be using those variables. Helms equals. Now, can we do that inline here? Maybe. Let's play around with that. Now that could be a problem. Let's not try to create them inline because we're doing a lot of referencing here. It'll be easier to have those local references here, but also stick them into carousels. So load dress up quest, dress up area dot carousels equals, and then we're going to be able to do helms equals helm carousel, shoulders equals shoulders, and so on. Cool. Just going to do a multi-select to copy those in. Oops. And then we can do the same thing. We can do a multi-select here and a paste, and there we go. So now we can index in to that carousel. Okay, so let's do a split view here because there's a lot to keep in mind. Okay, so we have a name. So using the name, we can do a reverse lookup. So reverse lookup category equals reverse lookup, and we've got the effect get name. In fact, we're going to use that name a bunch. So let's go ahead and say local effect name equals effect get name. Cool. Stop calling the function. All right, so we should have a category. local carousel equals dress up area dot carousels. Actually, it's possible we're still in the same scope, but that's okay. And we're in the category. Okay, so we have a carousel, and then local desired index equals carousel get leftmost image index. Okay, and we have a category and we have the desired index. So we have a lookup table for that. Let's come on down here. So we have our outfit strings. So local desired outfit string equals outfit strings, and that's the category. And we have a desired index, so we don't actually need those to be names. Awesome, that makes me feel better. Indexing by numbers is delightful when you can get by it. So I'm just doing a multi-select combined with Control-Delete to delete a word. So Control-Delete deletes the word, move the cursor over. Control-Right moves to the end of the word for each of those multi-select. So the cursors aren't lining up when you're doing that. Awesome. Super easy, or at least super convenient. Okay, so now we have the category and the desired index. So that should give us a desired outfit string. So, awesome. Pamela is laughing at Little Red Hood. I can get that. So let's go ahead and say turbine.shell.writeLine given a, so we have a category. Yeah, picked up boots or something. And then shell desired item is, and then and let's run it with quotes just as a sanity check. Desired outfit string. And cool, okay. So all of that, let's go ahead and pick up this crate of helmets. Okay, so we picked up a helm. Awesome. We detected the thing that we're going for. And we were able to say the thing that we actually want is a helm of winter. Okay, let's change it to regal. We want a helm of the regal. Let's change it to balladeer. And helm of the balladeer. So, given a thing that we picked up, we can figure out if it's a match, because this is the desired string and this is the effect name. So if effect name equals the desired output string, then turbine.shell.writeLine this is it. Else that wasn't it. Keep looking. We're not going to keep that in the final one, but just so we know what we're doing. Okay, so we're looking for winter. We pick this up. Helm of winter. We want a helm of winter. That's it. But we pick up a regal. Oh, keep looking. Awesome. So that tells us we can identify when we picked something up and if it matches the thing that we were looking for, which is awesome. That's a very important part of this plugin, is being able to do that. That's very pleasing. So, step one. Decide if we have picked up the right thing. So, this is it. Gonna get rid of some of these turbo ones. That wasn't it. And I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these and this. So, unload, reload, pick it up. and we're not dumping any more debug output, but we are ready to start doing something with that. So we're doing a lot here. What is it? Get the name of the effect. What we are not being is very careful, because if I get an effect that does not exist in the reverse lookup table, then, for instance, if I just unmount, we can see something went wrong because the category was null. So if category, then the rest of this should work. So we'll go ahead and mount back up, cool, and unmount. And we can see we did not get that error message. So we got an effect, but the effect name was not in the reverse lookup table. So stop doing anything. It's not for us, it's for something else. But if it is there, oh, then we can get started. Then we know it's going to be one of these categories, and we can delve into the corresponding carousel and get the desired index and get the desired outfit string from the category and the desired index and figure it out if that's what we just picked up. And if it is, we can go. Awesome. So we didn't get quite as far as I was hoping to today, because we spent a lot of our time gathering data and putting that data into a plugin as part of what plugins can really shine with, is they can take that data and they can do this automatic detection in a way that's just much harder as a human to be like, hey, which outfit is that? Okay, that's the Helm of the Winter. Which one were they wearing? Oh, I can't remember. I better go look. Like doing this quest, I was using the snapshot tool to almost take a screenshot of the dummies so I could remember like what things is it's wearing. And so this is what we can pass off to the plugin and have it remember what the dummy is where the dress up doll is wearing, and have it know if the thing that we just picked up is valid. So I think we're rapidly approaching the end of the time that I have tonight. So if you've got any last minute thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, and whatnot, and would like to get them into chat, now's a great time to do that. I'm going to go ahead and look over at our source control and see what has changed and was any of it not to what we wanted. So to do file changes, we're just going to go ahead. Oh, we should do a save all. Okay, good. Okay, great. We're just going to save some to do file changes and start committing some things. So added function to image carousel control to get the current image. Cool. Now, there's not a strong separation of concerns. It is possible to just grab the visible image index thing out of that table, which represents the carousel. We don't need an accessing function, but it's really helpful to go ahead and write as if there were access controls, like in other languages, like in C#, like in C++, where we go ahead and just call the function, because then you have a single localized place to modify if you're going to change how this is going to work. Maybe I don't want to use visible image index anymore. Maybe I want to do something else. The functionality of this function can be maintained, but various things that are describing that piece of information is going to be harder to make sure that they are changed correctly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save that off. Fixed how the images are indexed. So this is in images, and so the corresponding one is going to be down where we call that. Or is it? It's going to be where we call create carousel. Okay. Can we find create carousel? Where is it? It is. Awesome. So it's going to be this right here. So we're changing how we're indexing it here, and here we're changing how we are calling it. Awesome. Indexed. All right. Oh, but that is not going to work without this. Missing, added, missing globals for dress up parts. And again, these are globals now. I would like them to be scoped a little bit better than just being in the global namespace. But they'll work as a starting point. Okay, so save off the created carousels for later access. Okay, do we want to actually... Yeah, no, it's fine. Renamed local variable to better reflect what it's doing. And that was just this variable rename here. Awesome. Okay. And then, okay, construct names of crates based on global variables. Now, nothing is using this yet, so this can just be its own commit, its own little snapshot. So we're going to select just the text that is part of that, and we can see we're getting this, but nothing else. That's great. Okay, what else we have? We have lots of lookup tables. Added lots. Too many of lookup tables. Okay, and then the actual function. Added callback function for the effect added. It detects if the piece we picked up is what we are looking for. I'm going to go ahead and make that the next line. Okay, that's it. That's all the little chunks that we've been working on today. So we have a map that accurately reflects where these crates are and the ability to remove the crates. That was mostly last time. We have the ability to check if the thing that we just picked up matches the thing that we're looking for. And what we need next is to connect that together so that we are able to hide the crates if it was correct, and probably mark the doll in some way, the little paper doll over here. And if it's not correct, tell the user. And I think that's where we'll pick it up next time. Excellent. Before I depart, V West in chat says you've been banned from this channel for 4 years, and you are coming back. Well, welcome. I hope you are. We're gonna have a good time here. Okay, so before I log off, Melung is a new streamer joining us here on the LOTRO stream channel. They're going to be streaming at 9 p.m. server time, which is Eastern U.S. time, which I think is, what is that, like 5 hours? Something like that. They are adventuring back to Rohan. That's what they're doing, and they're playing as a high elf brawler, I hear. Okay. And seeing nothing else going on in the chat, I think this is a great place to leave it. And so that's everything we're going to cover today. Thank you all so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you all here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.